What I'm doing, guys, Cody guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Right guys, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to talk today about prisons going non-smoking. While I was in prison, they started to introduce e-cigarettes, and then towards the back end of my sentence, what they was doing is there was a screw that worked from healthcare that was going around asking people, oh, if you stop smoking, we'll give you non-smoking lozenges, we'll give you chewing gum, non-smoke, like nicotine chewing gum, to get the tobacco hit, and also non-smoking patches, right? But people were just abusing it. It was costing the prison about £10,000 a month to hand out Nicorette patches and Nicorette gum and lozenges and all that sort of stuff, right, for people to stop smoking. Then they tried to raise an initiative of saying, oh, if you quit smoking, you'll get extra gym, you'll get an extra visit a month, things like that, to dangle the carrot, right? Smoking is a big part of prison life, to be honest, guys, right? Like, I don't smoke personally. I've been padded up with smokers, and I've been padded up with non-smokers, right? But smoking is a big part of prison life, right? I've seen it. I've used tobacco to buy things in prison, right? Because what it is, it's called burn in prison, tobacco, right? You get pouches, 12.5 grams, you get 25 grams and stuff. And right, so what I would do is I'd buy a quarter, right, from one of the lads on the cleaners, a quarter of burn, and then I'd buy something with that quarter of burn, but then I'd have to give my guy next door, who was a cleaner, a mate of mine, I'd have to give him ½ ounce back. So if you borrow something in prison, guys, everyone knows that you pay double back. It's called double bubble. If you lend something, you borrow something, you give double back. It's just the way the prison works, guys. Anyone that's been in prison, you'll already know that. So yeah, like I say, prison's big business, guys. People use tobacco to buy things, like I've just alluded to. People also, smoking's big business, because if you're stressed in prison, right, when you're in prison, guys, right, if you've got problems on the outside, or you've got mental health issues and you've got stuff going on up here, right, when you're in prison, right, and you're locked away, you're going to be more stressed than if you was on the outside. Prison magnifies any problems you've got times a million, right? It just does. Right, so people use smoking as to de-stress. It's a coping mechanism, tobacco in prison. If someone's stressed and stuff, and they're pacing up and down the wing, pacing up and down the cell, right, they'll roll themselves a burn, they'll have a burn. If you're stressed, it's well known that you will smoke more if you were stressed than if you were not stressed. That's just a fact. Like I say, tobacco, it's used to de-stress people. So the fact that the Ministry of Justice are banning it, right, is ridiculous, because all that happens, guys, right, I'll tell you straight from a prisoner's perspective, all that happens, guys, right, is the price will go up. I've heard burn going for £100 to £200 for a pack of like 50 grams of amber leaf, golden Virginia, so on and so forth, right? 20 cigarettes, right, going for hundreds of pounds, right, over £100, right, a time, right? So like I say, all the Ministry of Justice, right, by banning something doesn't mean it disappears. People that are wet behind the ears seem to think, oh, well, if something's banned or it's made illegal, whether it's in prison or made a criminal act on the streets, right, that it just eradicates it, it disappears. Rubbish. All that means, if something's banned, whether it's in prison or on the streets, it just means the market for it intensifies and the prices go up through the roof, right? And like I say, so people that are bringing back tobacco into prisons, right, smuggling it into prisons and stuff, and then selling it on the streets, they're going to get it cheap, right? And then they're bringing it to prison and they're selling it for 10 times what it's worth, depending on, like I say, it's all down to supply and demand. If you're the only person on the wing with burn and you sell it, right, if you're the only person on the wing, right, you can charge top dollar, because people will pay it because you're the only person with it, so you've got no competition, right? But then say there's a few parcels been brought in. Parcels are what I use to describe contraband coming in. So say you've got 3 or 4 guys with tobacco and drugs. Then if you're charging top dollar and these other lads have got burn as well and they're selling it, if they're selling it cheaper than you're going to lose your customer, because you're like, well, hold on, he's charging me over a ton, but he's going to do me a deal, right? So you're going to get undercut, and people will stop buying from you and they'll go to them, whether that's tobacco or whether it's drugs. Like I say, another problem with the fact that the Ministry of Justice are banning tobacco within prisons, guys, is that it's going to lead on to people smoking spice. Tobacco is used in joints with cannabis and with obviously spice and other drugs, right? Now, if someone, say there's a drought, say that a couple of parcels have been intercepted, right? and there's no tobacco on your wing, and you're really stressed out, right? And there's spice there, and you've got some Rizzlers. If you think that the prisoner's going to think, oh well, I've not got any tobacco, I'm not going to smoke it, then you're clueless, right? Because someone will make a spliff of spice raw, and they'll try and smoke it, right? You know what I mean? It goes on, guys. Like I say, it's fucking crazy, guys. If people can't get tobacco, they'll smoke spice raw, which is hard to do, but the hit's more potent, and that's going to lead on to death, guys, right? Spice is killing people on a weekly basis within prisons within the UK. A lad died on my last stretch, a guy called Darren Rawlinson. God bless him, may he rest in peace. My thoughts and prayers are with his family. He died of a drug overdose on a drug-free wing, right? So that tells you everything you need to know about prisons here in the UK. Then another lad called Jordan Hyam took spice for the first time. He died. The ambulance and paramedics managed to restart his heart. He was put in hospital. There was all pictures his family released of his pipes down his throat and stuff. He's brain damaged for life, right? The lad was on his first sentence, on a short sentence, 20-year-old, tried spice for the first time, whether it was spiked or bullied or peer pressured, I'm not sure. But he's disabled for the rest of his life. He's mentally disabled. God bless him. Right. Then there was another lad a few weeks after I got out of prison. He died of a drug overdose in Forest Bank Prison as well, Cat B prison here in Salford. So, like I say, guys, right? If there's nothing getting through, right? People will smoke drugs without tobacco. Obviously, that you don't need tobacco for every drug and stuff, right? But I'm just saying, if you're going to smoke a joint of weed or you're smoking a joint of spice and you've got no tobacco, prisoners don't care. They will smoke it in its raw form, as simple as that. Or they'll do it via a bong or something, right? Like, it goes on, guys, trust me. So that's going to lead on to deaths, right? Also, it's going to lead on to an increase in violence and violent incidents within prison because, like I say, violence happens in prison for many different reasons: stress, anger problems, mental health issues, screws bullying on them, people owing money for drugs or for burn now. Eventually the prisoners will, like, if a prisoner's selling tobacco and a lad's taking the piss, he'll leave it a week, he'll leave it 2 weeks, he'll double it every week, and then he'll end up having enough, and he'll either go in and fill the kid in, or he'll offer somebody some burn or some spice or whatever to go and fill somebody in. And like I say, money and drugs and tobacco talks in prison. It's as simple as that. So like I say, you're going to see a violent increase in incidents because, like I say, people are stressed, they'll smoke. If you can't smoke, they're going to be pent up and angry and stuff, and they can't have a fag to chill out and relax. So they're going to explode into violence and stuff. It goes on. They're going to lash out. Right? Like I say, but tobacco, just like drugs and alcohol, is an addictive substance, right? And if people are hooked on smoking. If you say to someone stop smoking, right, they can't, because like I say, some people go cold turkey and come off tobacco, right? Some people can't break the habit and go back to smoking. And like I say, smoking, when you're in prison, you're stressed, you're highly strung. Little things are big things, little things are big things are mountains make your head explode, right? And like I say, prison magnifies these problems times 10, times a million. It goes on. So like I say, all the Ministry of Justice doing by banning it is drive it underground, drive the prices up, which are going to make criminals very, very rich. Like I say, I'm not a screwboy. I'm for prisoners and stuff, and it's good that prisoners are making money. But I'm just giving you from a prisoner's perspective about prisons going non-smoking. Like I say, guys, right, the fact is, back in when the prison were offering people this smoking stuff, Nicorette patches and stuff, right? They came in like dosages, and the stronger the dose, the more expensive the boxes were to buy on the canteen. But they didn't need to buy them on the canteen, did they? Because no, the prison were giving them away free. And guess that's coming from the taxpayer's pocket. The taxpayers are paying 10 grand. That was just for that prison, right? So you're talking, I think Forest Bank was about 1,400 prisoners, right? At full capacity, about 1,400, give or take, right? Now, 10 grand a month, right? If you put that out in every prison that's within the prison system, right, it's costing the taxpayer a lot of money, right? Tobacco's not even, you can smoke freely on the outside. If you're 18, you can go to a shop and buy tobacco, right? Or burn or cigarettes, whatever you want to call it, right? So what they should do, in my eyes, right, rather than banning smoking, because there's going to cause serious repercussions for the Ministry of Justice doing that, right? But the lads, the prisoners that are angry, they can't attack the Ministry of Justice, so they attack the uniform, the prison officers, because they're angry and they don't see the Ministry of Justice, they see the uniform, and that's what they attack, right? Like I say, it just goes on, guys. It's going to lead on to all sorts of big problems within prisons and stuff. Like I say, what I think they should do is have set wings, right, that divide the prison into smoking, non-smoking, right? Forest Bank, obviously, the VPs, the nonces, the rapists, they all stay on one wing anyway, right? But if you've got smokers and non-smokers, simple. Make wings non-smoking wings and make wings smoking wings. Now at Forest Bank, D1 was a non-smoking wing, but lads were still smoking on there, right? So I don't get that, like I say, but people, if a wing's good and a cushy wing, right, or the wing's perceived to be, you've got mates on there and stuff, and you say, oh yeah, I've quit smoking to get onto non-smoking wing, people do that and stuff like that, like I say, because then, like I said, this is me as a prisoner that's trying to give a solution to the Ministry of Justice, because the simple fact is, taking tobacco from lads, right, and not selling it on the canteen, you're going to see a rise in violent incidents. The prices are going to go up. Criminals are going to get big and fat and rich off it. And like I say, just because something's banned, I think a lot of people seem to think that if something's banned, that it disappears, right? No, not at all. It goes underground and the prices are extortionate. And it's as simple as that, guys. And like I say, I think it's just asking for trouble. I think the Ministry of Justice are asking for trouble by banning smoking. Smoking has been a big part of prison life forever and a day. And like I say, it's a coping mechanism. The lads, when they're stressed, oh, I'll have a burn, I'll have a burn, I'll have another burn, I'll have another burn, right? It's stress and it's a coping mechanism. And smoking de-stresses the prisoner. Do you really want a prisoner, right, that's addicted to tobacco, that can't have tobacco because parcels are getting intercepted or the Ministry of Justice have banned it, right? Do you really want lads that are ramped up like that and that are angry and are going to snap because they've not had a burn and are angry anyway, right, because of treatment conditions, lack of exercise, lack of association, right? Do you really want prisoners like that in the prison system on your wing? Because it's going to explode into violence. Like I say, guys, don't take my word for it. Just speak to anyone that's been in prison, guys, and ask them. Smoking is part of prison life for prisoners that smoke. It's as simple as that. And prisoners that don't smoke tobacco will smoke spice with tobacco in the joint, but they don't smoke on a daily basis. They just smoke spice, and the tobacco goes with the spice. But as a rule, they don't smoke. Like I say, it's a coping mechanism. It's big business within prisons. And like I say, the Ministry of Justice, just because they've banned it does not mean it will disappear. It just means it will be pushed on the ground, prices will go up, and people are going to get big, fat and rich off it. It's as simple as that, guys. How can you, if someone brings tobacco into a prison, you can't jail them for that. Can you fuck? People bringing tobacco in just because it's a prison thing that's been banned. So like I say, the deterrent's not there. So people will bring tobacco in because the reward of getting tobacco through is massive. It's as simple as that, guys. Right, anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. Always like, guys, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll speak to you soon.